This is my very tiny version of a strawberry patch, and it sounds like it's a good thing that I have a strawberry patch because this year, out of complete fear, a lot of people aren't buying strawberries. Driscoll Strawberries recently had a study or a paper come out showing that it was laden with chemicals, pesticides specifically, and these pesticides cause childhood leukemia and a whole handful of other issues. So today's video, we're going to discuss the original study that came out that made these claims and went viral, along with why these companies would use this sort of chemical on a strawberry or a raspberry for that matter as well. If you don't know who I am, hello, my name's Ashley. I have a bachelor's of science in soil science. I like to take said science, apply it to all things plants. And I've been working in the industry of agriculture for around 15 years. And due to that experience in food production on a large scale, I'm very familiar with the fertilizers and the pesticides used to support these crops and ultimately feed the world. And the truth is that strawberries that have the most chemicals added to them in order to get them from the farm to your grocery store shelf. And now, like any sort of news posting out there, you have really crazy headlines, and these headlines bring in people, it goes viral, but no one actually looks at the original study. So I did that for you. And it turns out that the sample size of Driscoll strawberries was very low. It was only 2 containers, which, if you know anything about science, is not nearly big enough of what we call a sample size to be able to represent an entire farm, let alone an entire company like Driscoll itself, which is why I am shocked there is no lawsuits coming out yet. And again, that may have to do with the fact that 2 containers being sampled does not simply mean that the headlines are entirely fake. There is some potentially very real validity to what is in strawberries in general, not just Driscoll strawberries. So the reality of strawberries is that they are truly a nightmare-fueled crop for anyone who is growing. They have fungal issues. They have a very thin skin. They have high rates of perishability from when they actually are harvested to go into the grocery store shelves. They're obviously grown very close to the soil surface, which results in bugs, fungus, and bacteria. And that's just the tiny critters. They also have a lot of issues with bird or predation, if you will, from various different types of species, including humans themselves. So because of this, growers are fighting disease from the moment these get out of the ground to the harvesting process, to the processing process, to even the grocery store shelves. I know we've all seen moldy strawberries on the shelves. President's Choice, Superstore, any sort of Loblaw group, Independent, you guys always have moldy strawberries, for being entirely honest. But that is just a reality of growing this sort of a crop. Now, this is where Driscoll comes in. Consumers drive markets, and capitalism just responds to consumer demands. So the consumer demand is constant supply of strawberries, blemish-free strawberries, big strawberries, juicy strawberries with lots of flavor, perfectly shaped, the correct color, and all of these demands result in engineered, hybrid, or simply very heavily cared for fruits and vegetables. If us as consumers are okay with you pick berry-sized berries that are only available when strawberries can be available, higher prices, closer to home only, then of course you'll end up with much healthier, much safer forms of these crops. So what the media is trying to convey to you are kind of 3 main things. Number 1, there's a conversation about residue on the fruits themselves. In the past, I have worked with pesticide and pesticide research and getting pesticides approved for a company by the government. And the way to do this, number 1, is ensuring that there's no residue. Now, the way that we do this is by proving the pesticide's specific half-life. And governments, rightfully so, do not want any residue on the crop once it is harvested and on the shelf. What will happen is labs will test these byproducts, the end product of the farm, and on it, they will have such sensitive equipment that they are literally trying to catch parts per billion levels of these chemicals. And in the study, there are several chemicals that end up on the detection, but they are much lower than what the allowable limit is. So there was something crazy, like 14 different types of pesticides and chemicals found within the Driscoll strawberries, and a number of them fell into the category of negligible amounts and amounts that are much lower than what the allowable limit is. Some were 3 times lower than the allowable limit. So in the eyes of the government, it's fine to consume. In the eyes of your personal beliefs and what you want to consume, that may be a different story, and it oftentimes is. The second one is actually farm workers' exposure. So farmers are exposed to chemicals. Banana farms, by the way, is one where people are put in very high danger because of how toxic the chemicals are that they spray. And unfortunately, another great example of this for gardeners is coconut coir factories. When coconut coir is being made, the workers are exposed to very high levels of the chemical that's used to break down the fibers, and then the dust of the fibers, and it gets into their lungs and it causes cancers and a lot of detrimental things. But it is because they are exposed to the very active ingredients. They are exposed to stuff long before its half-life has hit, and the government is not regulating human beings rolling around in this stuff. They are regulating it being brought to consumer level. So if there are schools, which in the case of the Driscoll farms sounds like maybe the case, any sort of overspray in the air is a great example of farm worker exposure levels, but to children or people living nearby. Now, if you've been on a farm, if you've lived near a farm, if you've been out in the country driving when these big sprayer-looking things are running across the earth, just smell the air. You can smell it. Chemicals have a scent to them. And it's similar to like antifreeze in the sense that it is sweet and fruity and kind of smells good if we're being completely honest. So that is what we call overspray. That is what we call drift. All of these things are normal in the sense that that's just naturally happens. Responsible farmers, however, will only spray when it's incredibly calm, when there is not going to be a heavy rain, so it's not going to be washed away. Like right now, we've kind of got like a dusk situation or a cloud situation, no wind, not super hot, not super cold. There's not a lot of dew, all that sort of stuff. Today is the perfect day for someone to spray. This is the conditions that you're looking for. Anything kind of outside of that, and you can end up with movement of those pesticides to obviously the workers and then furthermore to surrounding communities within reason. This stuff isn't traveling kilometers by any stretch of the imagination. Now, unfortunately, because a headline such as chemicals found equals dangerous death, leukemia in children is a better headline, the nuance of toxicology can't really be discussed in the case of this media frenzy around the Driscoll strawberry. And from everything I've read, they are within their regulatory limits when it comes to farmer safety, surrounding community safety, and the safety of the end product and how much is actually on that end product. Now, what I will say is that this does not just give industry a free pass to do whatever they want. And I think what people are more so kind of leaning into, rather than the quantity or the science behind the Driscoll strawberry debate, is the emotion behind the Driscoll strawberry debate. Because in our heads, as consumers, what we're thinking is this is just corporate greed. You are making these people use 14 different types of chemicals, all for the purpose of getting more money. And that is the truth, and that is why they do it. These companies are exposed to, obviously, environmental conditions that can cause problems. They have very long supply chains, so Driscoll's grown to the size in which I have Driscoll strawberries in Canada at my Costco, for example. They come from California. I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That is a very, very long distance. I've drove that distance. It is not fun. So I will say, beautiful drive though. I will say that. So that in and of itself, I mean, you can see how it can cause issues because you can bring a strawberry home and within a week, it's a moldy mess inside of a container. They got to try to get it a week of travel plus so long inside of a grocery store plus then onto your home shelves. So unfortunately, when you're purchasing from the grocery store, the government's goal is to feed the world. The corporation's goal is to make sure they make money. And your goal as consumers to get the best of the best. And that's how we end up with these kind of strawberries that aren't perfectly safe, but they're not entirely dangerous either, if that makes any sense. I think you could also argue, which is a totally separate conversation, that it is a death by 1,000 paper cuts in the sense that you don't just eat Driscoll strawberries with these 14 sort of pesticides on them below the legal limit. You're also eating cucumbers and tomatoes and all of these other fruits and vegetables that also contain pesticides. And ultimately, it can feel like a death by 1,000 paper cuts that can wind you up with cancer. And I think that's probably more so where the public is coming from. So I'm sorry, I don't have a more theatrical take on the Driscoll strawberries. That does not mean I'm going to go out and eat buckets of these things. Actually kind of reminded me about the fact that strawberries are such a precarious crop. And you will see me at the local U-Picks here in Saskatoon now for the summer until my memory fades and I completely forget about Driscoll strawberries being deadly. Or, well, not deadly. Don't see me, Driscoll. Having 14 chemicals all below the legal limit with negligible amounts, parts per billion. But I like strawberries and I eat them in the bushels. So it's how I keep my hair red. And therefore, my exposure could be higher due to that. We'll say that much. Anyways, Geek Crew, I will talk to you guys next time. This is my latest and greatest. And that is what YouTube says you should watch next because they are watching you. I will talk to you guys next time.